Hi, this is TG. Thanks for watching. This page I'm working on, I started working on it and then decided to record it. So in just a second you'll see that I've chosen the image already. I've glued a few flowers in her hands and I've gessoed my page, and now I'm going to add some color. I want to add color that matches the background of the image. I am honestly not feeling very creative at all when I made this at all. But I want to keep up with my prompts. I'm in a group and I don't want to get behind. And I know that even though I don't feel creative, I have to create because that's how I can get through it. I wanted to add a little bit of green to this page to change the color up a little bit. The green is beautiful, but it just doesn't work. So I'm pulling it up with deli paper to hope that the teal from the background shows through. What ends up showing through is some lavender. I have no idea where the lavender came. But since the deli paper isn't working, I'm just going to dry it some more with my heat gun and then add more of the darker color in the background. This is teal green from Blick, which I don't really understand why it's teal green because it's not teal like the normal sense of teal, but it's still really pretty. The quote is, "Creativity is how I share my soul with the world," which I feel is really true for me and many of us. I want to make these hands creative. These are the hands of the Mona Lisa. I looked all over for an image, all over. Nothing was inspiring me. So I grabbed these hands thinking I'm just going to smack them down and write a quote, and who cares how it turns out. Well, then one thing led to another. So here we go. I'm cutting out the spaces between her fingers. I decided that I want to add the world to it, and I'd like her to be holding it. It's really cool how you can take an image and change it. And if you're open and just trying different things, anything can happen. If for some reason I didn't like what I was doing, anything can be glued back on and fixed. All right, it's cutting out a little bit more, trying out the world to see exactly where I want it, how I want it. It's better to cut out the littlest amount possible at first and then see how it goes and just kind of go with it and see what works. Trimming up her fingers so they're not so creepy. There, I like that a lot. I like the world, the brighter colors showing through, but that top half is kind of dark. I know that it can be a little darker, but I want some more colors showing through. So I'm going to use my scrap of paper. You saw that I had my quote written down. I always write my quote on a separate page. I'm taking some neon blue, Craft Smart neon blue, just a cheap little craft paint, and adding to it. This is a glossy paper that the planet is on, so it spreads really cool. Some parts stick more than others, and I'm just extending more of that blue. I don't want a lot of it to show through. I want the black to be there, but I want a little bit more color in it, and this is working perfect. Just a little bit. Getting my fingers involved, rubbing it in. I really wish paint was moisturizing because my skin would be so soft. Drying it off. You can also use a blow dryer too. I just happen to have a heat gun because I got into embossing powder, which we should do sometime on a video to see how it goes. Now I'm going to attach that world to her, just going to glue on the fingers and slide it in. Yeah, I like it. I like how it worked out. Something's a little funny in the top corner, so I'm trying to make it all kind of flow and not look so choppy. So that's what you see me doing here, taking out that little section. It's kind of tricky cutting and gluing this because there's so many different things combined. Different levels, things are still sticky. So that's that, but I really don't like that either. So I'm just deciding to take off that whole top corner of darkness because the background's dark anyway, so it'll just blend right in. In doing this, I realized that I cut off her thumb. So her whole finger's missing. And there's part of it, and I can't find the thumb tip at all, so I'm trying to figure out what to do. thinking, oh, I'll just glue it back on and not even care, but it really does look weird to have those just floating there, tucking in. And these are the hands of the Mona Lisa, and I just cut off her finger. So what do? You add more flowers. I've got a huge stash of flowers, some little, some big. I buy a bunch of rose books from thrift stores and just cut them up. It's actually pretty relaxing just to sit and cut for a night while you're watching TV. All different sizes, all different colors. I'm pulling out whatever. I have no idea what I need. I'm just going to try them out. I'm going to audition some roses in a minute. This hopefully will get the illusion that her thumb is behind there and not make people worried about it. Whew, good save. Not sure how many I want to add there, but decide just to stick with these two. Totally fine. I don't want that to be like this. I don't want it to be too bloomy. Sometimes I love a bunch of them, but this time I want our focus to be on the focus to be on our hands. That's it. I'm going to stick with that. That other page was getting too sticky. I should have just used my phone book right away. Now I want to be careful with my gluing because there's so many different elements cut out and glued on and layered upon each other. I don't want to shift them. I don't want to tear them. So I'm just carefully gluing things down, trying to cover as much as I can so that air bubbles do not get behind it. I had no idea where to position it, but I decided just to go to the edge of the page there. Since my way of sharing my soul creatively is through art journaling and different forms of art, my hands are usually pretty messy with glue and paint, gesso. So I kind of decided to make these my hands. I didn't know I was going to do this at first. I thought they would just be simple, plain hands. But if it's true to me, they have to be messy. So I'm just going to choose different color paint and add them to the fingers, which is trickier than I thought it'd be. Getting just the right amount and making it look good. That is my Deco Art Media blue paint that I love so much. Later on I will get my Blick Deep Blue Red in there. Two of my favorite color blues. It was interesting doing this page because while I felt more relaxed and more into it, I still wasn't fully into what I was doing, and I knew why too. I've got a few different journals. Someday I'll do a video on all my different journals that I have. One of my journals is my Jesus journal, and that's a journal that I use to process things with God. And I've been trying to process some things through my mind and situations, and I know that I have to get into that Jesus journal and work through some things, but I'm putting it off. I'm pushing it off because I don't want to do that, even though it's so stupid to do. So I know that that's why there's some hesitation in my heart in making this. So sooner or later, I'm going to have to face the music and do it. If it's my hand on this page, there's got to be some white pen on my hand. I always restart my pen on my hand. I didn't like how these went, so since it was a glossy image, I could use a baby wipe and just quickly wipe them off, dry it, and then redo it. And add some more white. And this is my favorite Blick blue. I think it's Deep Blue Red. Oh, it's so pretty. A lot of my pages have this on. This is just some cheap craft paint, glitter paint. Some of my favorite painting days are when I've got my favorite shades of blue and some glitter on my fingers. I don't like a ton of glitter on a page, but I always like to have a little bit of shimmer. Not even that it's super noticeable, but just so that if the light catches it just away, you notice it. And it just, oh, it just adds so much, I think, even though it's barely there. I'm using deli paper to pick up any extra paint that may have been a little bit thicker. Now it's time for the lettering. Grabbing my paint pen, and I'm going to write out my quote. I didn't know exactly where I would write my quote or how I wanted the page, so luckily there's enough space here to finish it, to fill it in. I'm using print and some script. When I write the word soul, I feel like it has to be in cursive because I feel like our soul is a beautiful thing. So therefore it has to be in cursive. I'm okay with going a little bit on the world there, having my letters extend. And I'm just going to give credit to where the quote is from Brene Brown. I love knowing where quotes are from. Oftentimes I'll research the person later if they have a really good quote and just learn more about them. And she's got so many things that she says that are so good. All right, checking it, just pressing down and lifting up to see if that paint is dry. She was not dry. I pulled some of it up and messed up her name, so I'm just going to touch it up a little bit and re-dry it. It's better to press down and lift up your hand and see rather than rub your hand across, because that will smear your letters, and then you really will find out what's wet. Gluing down a little bit more. I missed some of these edges for sure. Sticking those down. And now I'm outlining in white. Not necessary at all, because the blue for sure shows with that darker background, but it wouldn't be my kind of page if I didn't outline it. My outline is messy this day. I'm not really into my art today, so I'm kind of sloppier, I noticed. But there's a cool way to save it that I just found out the other day. I accidentally did it when I was making a card for my son, so I'm going to show you that in just a sec. Sometimes when my outlining doesn't quite line up, I either make the white outline thicker or I extend the color of the letter. Like in this case, the light blue, I would make it thicker in spots. But this time I will show you something else. Pretty simple. Alright, good. So in those spaces, I'm just adding tiny little dots. You could also add lines, whatever you want. It's just easy to make dots with a sort of gel pen, any gel pen. Perfect little dots come out. Since my mistakes are kind of uneven, it's great because there's no pattern to where the dots are. I feel like it adds a little bit more energy to the letters, to the words. Something about a little dot here and there just adds so much to a page, I feel. It's one of my favorite things. And then I decide that I do need some dots in my fingers because I usually end up with more ink in my fingers. And a few on the flowers. And I decided to do just a quick little thin outline of the image to make it pop out just a little bit more from that black. And there we go. A great page that I love, even though I pushed through my lack of creativity.